All Elite. Because I can't even call it wrestling anymore. Look at this clown. Look at this clown.
You were there, Tommy.
He looks. I call him a pencil neck. Look, his head and hair look like an eraser. I'm like, he literally looks like a pencil. And Tony, if your neck hurts that bad, why are you turning your head, you jackass? Oh my god.
I can cut a promo, baby. I can sit right there if you want a Dusty Rhodes promo. That's right, Daddy. I've wined and dined with kings and queens. I feasted on alley and pork and beans, Daddy, if you will. I can do an ultimate.
Ric Flair.
Woo! A little bit of flair. Look at that, man.
10 pounds of gold, baby.
Look at that belt, bro. Look at that robe, more importantly. Now that's a robe.
Yeah. Dave LaGreca, that is a robe.
Yes.
Not that crap that you have on. That
Fuck
is
Dave
a
LaGreca.
robe. Thank you.
Woo!
Woo! We're back, baby, with another episode of the Yankee Rebel Wrestlecast. Yankee
Yes,
Tommy,
we are.
that's Rebel Brian. If you're watching on Twitch and YouTube, welcome on in. If you're listening to this wherever you get your podcast, we'd like to thank you all for your continued support. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe so you can be notified whenever we go live and we post. Brian, we're finally back to the current stuff, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. We had the last 2 weeks diving deep into the Chris Benoit tragedy, and now we are back talking about wrestling, and I'm pumped because this weekend is Money in the Bank, or if you're a Jimmy Uso fan, it's Yeet in the Bank.
Yeah.
Well, Yeet. So,
I can't eat anymore.
You can't yeet anymore?
No, because they've been yeeting him down the card. It's just loss. Yeet. Another loss. Yeet.
Hey, he is the yes movement of this particular era of wrestling.
Yeah, he is. They're not doing anything with it.
But I know that we're going to get to Money in the Bank, but we're going to jump into AEW first with Forbidden Door. And that was an interesting pay-per-view, needless to say.
Yeah,
an interesting pay-per-view.
Or not so Forbidden Door.
Not so Forbidden Door. We'll jump into this side of it. Good card. I'm not going to deny the fact that it wasn't a good card. In fact, Bleacher Report gave it an A as a pay-per-view.
I mean, it's about time. They actually put a good card together.
Well, we're going to go through the card and we're going to jump into Money in the Bank. We're going to talk a little bit more about some returns to AEW. We're going to be talking Paul Heyman and the Bloodline. We're going to be talking Wyatt Six. And we're going to be talking about Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree.
Hi, guys! So fucking good, man.
So the Forbidden Door AEW pay-per-view started off with Serpentico and against Kyle Fletcher. Of course, we know Fletcher won that match. The biggest thing about this match is everybody has gave it an F on the scale. The exact words was, "This match served no purpose and had no reason to exist on this card."
I mean, tell them when they're telling lies.
Yep, tell me when I'm telling lies. Then we moved into a four-way tag match. The House of Black defeated O'Reilly and Ishii, Kid and Strong, and Private Party. That match did get a C+ across the board. Who? I mean, come on. I mean, it's House of Black. I mean, they're regardless if they're still not being used the way they need to be used, they're still dominant.
Well, yeah, they're one of the top trios in AEW. So
No
I mean,
question about it. We had Willow Nightingale and Nakano versus Chris Statlander and Watanabe. And I'm going to butcher names tonight. This match actually got a B rating, and Nightingale and Nakano won that match. I'm glad to see Willow Nightingale getting a win on a big pay per view.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of hers. You and I saw her on the cruise when she was kind of starting to come up. Her following was starting to get bigger. And, I mean, to see where she's come from then to now is absolutely tremendous. She's one of the biggest baby faces they have in the women's division in
She is.
AEW. Everyone loves her. Um, I would like to think she's like a hybrid of Bailey's two personas. Like when she first came up and kind of
Yes.
how she is now. She's kind of like a blend of that as far as her crowd reaction, her look, everything. But yeah, it is nice to see her get her due, and hopefully you see her go up the card a little bit.
The next match I'm actually very happy about, and that was Mariah May versus Paige. I can't call her other name. It's Paige. It's just the bottom line.
Not
And
Soraya.
yeah, I just can't call her Soraya. It's just, but this was for the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament Finals, and Mariah May won. And this woman is over big time in AEW. She is so over.
Yeah, dude. I've loved Tony Storm and her stuff lately with her is it's weird. It's
Yeah.
weird, but you can't not look at it. I don't know how to describe it. It's just
Well, it started out as this old school kind of flamboyant, burlesque kind of timeless thing, and now it's gotten to like almost American Horror story almost type of stuff.
yeah,
It's a little odd to me. It's like they're kind of pushing the envelope on some of the things.
yeah. I mean, especially when the tits out. Da-da-da.
Yeah, tits out.
I'm like, what?
Uh, we got Bravo lurking in the chat. Bearded Dog said, "Who is AEW?"
I'm gonna slap him with an A and W if he asks that question again.
Oh, he is straight WWE, bro. He is definitely all WWE, no question about it.
Hey, I
Then
mean, you like what you like, but I mean, you know,
next thing he's going to be talking about Nia Jax.
don't,
Um,
don't. If he knows what's good for him, don't. Do not mention it because you will call in and we will have some words.
yep, it's which I got to give him props. He did get me a couple mommy autographs, and I can't, and I call Nia Jax mommy instead of Rhea Ripley. So, but our next match was Tsuji Titan and Takashi versus Mystico and the Lucha Brothers. Uh, of course, with that match, Lucha Brothers and Mystico won that match. They The biggest takeaway from this was the announcing by Excalibur that he, of course, him having the lucha background and everything, they, according to other news interests and things, they said that this was possibly one of his best matches commentating.
I mean, he knows those gentlemen very well, and he's well versed in the lucha libre style. So, I mean, if ever there were to be a match that's one of his best, I'll say that's right in his wheelhouse. And
Yeah,
I mean, just overall, he's gotten so much better.
he
Like he's
has.
so fluid as a play-by-play guy. I mean, like, because at first when AW started, I had honestly never heard of him.
Yeah,
I'm being honest, I've never heard of him. But he is the voice of AEW,
yeah,
and he's doing a great job. And I'm sure Jr. has coached him. I'm sure as he's been coming up and giving him some points. You can see his growth.
Yeah. Of course, the MJF match was next. I don't know what they're doing with MJF right now, and it's because with his return, you've got to put him back in the title contention. And
Well, I mean, if you saw Wednesday, you kind of know where he's headed.
yeah,
He's headed for Will Ospreay.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know why people can't just take things for what they are instead of having to always compare them to WWE because they're different. Like, why do we have to compare the segments between Rock and Cody and MJF and Daniel Garcia and compare which one was a better bloody segment? It doesn't matter. They were both good. They both served their purpose. Like now you're gonna have most likely MJF go after the international title, but why do we need to compare them?
Well, and one thing I disagreed with on this match is they were considering MJF as the baby face of the company. He's
Not
not a
anymore.
baby face.
No, he
He's
isn't.
not a baby face. He's more of an anti-hero than he is anything.
Yeah, and he proved to you why he is not a face. He beat the living shit out of Daniel Garcia
Yeah.
and didn't hold up.
And of course, MJF won this match by pinning the poorly drawn comic book character. Um, so yeah, we'll leave that alone. The next match was the Acclaimed and Tanahashi versus the Young Bucks and Okada. Uh, Not a bad match. Not a
No,
bad match at all. In fact, the Elite won that match, which you know, um,
shocking.
post match beatdown of the iconic competitor ended when Daddy Ass Billy Gunn rushed the ring and chased the heels out. They said that it did nothing for the Acclaimed, but go Daddy Ass, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, since the Acclaimed had lost their titles, they've been kind of lurking in the weeds. They haven't had anything for them. They haven't really done anything. Like the Acclaimed are too talented to be sitting around just doing nothing. Like they're way too talented.
Yeah,
And
and
at this point, I personally don't think that the Elite and Okada needed this victory.
they didn't. And I think some of these matches were filler matches. And yeah, there was a rivalry going on there, and they did a pretty good job with the Acclaim against the Young Bucks. But I think that this was another one of those matches that just didn't need to be on the card because there was 14 matches on this card.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable. I mean, this pay per view went to almost 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and what kills me is why I called it a not so forbidden door. And it's supposed to be a crossover between AEW and New Japan. And a lot of the matches were AEW on AEW.
Yeah,
So it was like, to me, if you're going to have a true forbidden door, shouldn't it be like it was AEW versus New Japan? Whether it's
yeah,
a title for title or just person v person, and not AEW like 75%, and we'll throw 25% of New Japan in there. It's not really
yeah.
a forbidden door.
Possibly the match of the night. Daniel Bryan Danielson,
DBD.
DVD versus Takagi.
Oh
And
yeah.
this was also for the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament Finals. Danielson won that match, and getting an A from all of the news media. This guy could wrestle Hornswoggle and almost get a 5-star rating.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people were saying about Shawn Michaels. He could wrestle a broomstick and get a 5-star match. Like it's
Yeah,
just how good he is.
absolutely.
But
But such a
he
good
never
match.
really. But the thing is, he never really got that shot in WWE. Like he wasn't having near the quality of matches that he's having now. And
Yeah,
that sure might be that AEW focuses more on the wrestling side of things. But you still got to have the presentation. You still got to have the story along with it too. Like I could watch 10 5-star matches in a row, but if there's no story, it's not going to seem as important to me.
it's
I'm
where
not going to feel
WWE
it.
WWE just surpasses everybody when it comes to storyline.
Well, yeah, that's half the battle. You got to have a good
Yeah.
story. You got to have a good match.
Yeah. Toni Storm, of course, put her title up against Mina, and Toni Storm, of course, won that match. They get news media outlets gave it an A, and I
I
mean,
just, I just don't, I just don't get that whole story. The whole story with the three of them, Tony, Mariah, and Mina, it's odd.
yeah.
It's so odd to me. So like, I
Well,
mean, you can give it an A all you want. I just,
the thing that the news media outlets said is that it was really well done from the match itself to the storytelling around it. They said that Mariah May, the centerpiece of the dispute between the competitors, watched from ringside and never got involved, instead remained neutral. She dressed like Miss Elizabeth did at WrestleMania 10 when she found herself in a similar, WrestleMania 10, in a similar situation between Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, and her facial expressions and body language added to the in-ring action. So Mariah May pulling double duty, winning the Owen Hart Foundation Championship and being a major centerpiece of that match with Toni Storm.
yeah, I didn't realize the Miss Elizabeth part of that. It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I don't know if you get it. I still don't. The story to me doesn't. I, I don't know what to do with it. I honestly.
Tommy, the bearded dog said, I would worry more about the Michael Myers behind you. Yeah.
Hey, dummy. Yeah.
Dummy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably another match that shouldn't have been on the card for Forbidden Door was Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr. Who cares? I mean, we could see this match on Dynamite every single week.
Uh huh. Yeah.
And not to take anything away from Zack Sabre because he's a great competitor, and so is
Absolutely.
Orange Cassidy, but this had no Forbidden Door on it whatsoever.
No, and there wasn't. At least in my opinion, there wasn't a good enough build up for as big as a pay per view as Forbidden Door is. So to me, it was kind of a I could care.
Yeah. So of course, Sabre Jr. defeated Orange Cassidy, which my wife's going to be very upset about. Um, the next match we had Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata versus Jericho, Big Bill, and Jeff Cobb. I mean, it's the match itself got a C plus. Hook, Joe, and Shibata beat Jericho, Big Bill, and Cobb in that match. It did get a C plus.
Once again, not a Forbidden Door.
Not a Forbidden Door. I mean, even though Shibata and Jeff Cobb wrestle in New Japan.
They've been on
Uh,
AEW more so than New Japan lately.
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just gonna say this for the Forbidden Door aspect of it. Tell me why you couldn't have cut this card in half and had a lot of these matches with more build up on All In.
Yeah,
Tell me why that wouldn't have made a little more sense.
yeah,
You know, because you give the Forbidden Door element to it. You let the AEW and the New Japan stars have their time, and the other matches that aren't as important or don't have that aspect, put them on All In. I mean, you have your 0 hour where you can put a lot of the real bad fillers in there, and
yeah.
then you have your regular cards. So I just don't.
Well,
The
they
match
even did
make
this for this pay per view, so we probably had 16, 17 matches altogether.
it's unnecessary.
Are you making any
Unnecessary.
money? That's my question. Is Tony Khan making any money
Well,
on?
if you ask him, the real I sent you, which it it seems like he puts a clause in everybody's contract that they have to say, "This is where the best wrestle."
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like he's doing a lot of like Vince controlling the narrative. This
yeah,
is where the best wrestle. This is where the best wrestle.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yet,
I mean, because you had a lot of 6-man tag matches, you had a ladder match. You're paying a lot of people to be on a huge card. And did they
yeah,
sell out the arena?
I don't know. If you ask him, they sell out every event. They're the best wrestling company on the planet, and that's all she wrote.
Well, we did have a ladder match to crown a new TNT champion. We had El Fantasmo versus Leo Rush, which why is he in this match? But anyway, Dante Martin, Mark Briscoe, Takashita, and Big Jack Perry, Jungle Boy himself. And Jack Perry is your new TNT champion.
Once again, I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. And number two, of all those people you listed, did any of them really have a realistic shot in hell?
Maybe
Besides
Mark
Jack Perry?
Briscoe.
Maybe, but they always throw him as it could be Mark Briscoe, and then it's never Mark Briscoe. It's
I
just
mean, he is the ROH World Champion. There's no reason to put two titles on Briscoe.
no, there isn't.
And
Like putting him in there is a wasted spot to me.
And I mean,
And
and there was a lot of injuries. It seemed like in this match too. It looked like that Dante Martin tweaked his knee. Even Takashita was kind of holding his arm a little bit. So that's the thing that I have with AEW is that they need to learn how to protect their superstars, because when you get into a lot of the high flying stuff, and I mean, 90% of the people in this match are high flyers. And that's when it starts to get a little crazy, because AEW is always going to push the envelope. And if you got a bunch of superstars that's going down with injuries, which we've seen, then you've got to make some kind of decision on, okay, do we need to go back to our performance center, and if we have one,
they don't.
and be able to say, okay, how can we protect our superstars a little bit better?
Well, maybe if you wrestled more than 1 day a week, maybe their bodies would be able to hold up to it.
Yeah,
Because if you're going 1 day a week, you know, going like I'd say probably like a 5 to 6 on a scale of 10 as far as intensity goes, and then you just automatically because of what they have shows like every other month or something. It's like
yeah,
6 or 7 a year. So like every other month you go at a full 10. Well, your body's not ready for it. Your
yeah,
body isn't going to be able to hold up. So, if you want to do all these high flying fancy moves and you don't have the ring endurance and the reps every single week, like that's where WWE is. I mean, like I think they do a little too much, but that's whatever. But their
yeah,
bodies are conditioned, so injuries happen a lot less.
yeah.
So,
Now we'll get into the elephant in the room, and that is the Mercedes Moné Sasha Banks match.
oh,
Your TBS champion against Miss Stephanie, the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, and this was a title for title match. And of course, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné is now a Mercedes two belts after this particular match. Again, I think I predicted this and said that she would be holding two belts at the end of Forbidden Door.
you did.
And because Tony thinks that she is the money maker. And we found that out when on Sunday, June 30th, that yeah, she is now Mercedes two belts. And I just don't understand it. But which I know we're going to jump into this in a second, but we had a return during this match that was a little interesting.
DMD.
Yes.
Thank the Lord.
So Britt Baker out, what, 17 years? I mean, it feels like that it's been like 6 years since she's been in a ring.
Yeah, and I was wondering what was going on and why it's been so quiet. But if you didn't catch Dynamite on Wednesday, she did go into that and say she had a legit injury, but she also had like a pre-stroke almost, and she was not physically fit at all to compete. So she had to take some time. Um, and she is now fully cleared and is back. So I hope she stays healthy. I mean, all of us at YRW, that's some serious stuff. So we're just glad she's healthy. She's back and able to do what she loves. Um, and I'll say one more thing about Mercedes, not so Monet, before we move on. And that's, did you hear the chants that she got when she started talking?
I did not.
So, so everyone was happy for Britt. Then, of course, the CEO came out. Um, and Britt had made comments before she came out saying, like, it's real cute that you get that, in order for people to chant your three initials, you have to have it piped into your music. Where
Mm.
as for DMD, no one does that. They just say it because they love Britt Baker. But anyway, when Mercedes started talking, the crowds were chanting, "Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!" so, so it's like, I mean, she may or may not be making you money, but nobody likes her.
No.
No, she's too entitled to me. I don't like her one bit, and pretty soon I'm gonna predict she'll get injured. It'll happen sometime. She's gonna get hurt again. She always gets hurt. I mean, you look back at her history, and you tell me a year that she hasn't gotten hurt wrestling,
Yeah.
and I'll eat my hat.
And then you go back and think about the Hell in a Cell with her and Charlotte Flair, and you're like, what happened to that one? What happened to that Sasha Banks?
I think that started her downfall. Her body couldn't take it. I mean, let's be real. She is tiny.
Yeah.
She's like 5 foot nothing, probably less than 100 pounds, soaking wet. I mean, she's a little bigger than Riho, but I mean the same thing with Riho. I
Yeah.
mean, you haven't seen her in years.
Rio's like 90 pounds.
Exactly. I mean, you're up against these bigger competitors. But like, what do you expect's going to happen?
Probably the match of the night for me that was just complete beautiful. And that is John Moxley, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, against Naito. And Moxley dropped the belt. He dropped the belt.
Good.
And now we actually get someone from Japan holding the title again. Thank God. I am just not a Moxley fan anymore. I'm not, and I'll stand by that. The wild thing kind of bullcrap that's going on. It's just he needs to take some time off.
Well, that and he needs to reinvent himself
Yeah,
because he's been the same ever since he came to AEW. It's just gotten, I think, worse as time's gone on. And this is gonna sound really bad, but there's no other way I can really put it. He was better when he had his alcohol problem. As bad as that sounds, I, I mean, hey, I mean, hate me if you want to, but he was. I mean, he's been shit since, and I'm not.
Moxley, you were better a drunk than you are now.
But I'm not saying that in jest. It's just it's a fact. If you've looked at his work since he came back from being so sober, which hey, I am all hey, if you have an issue and you go get your help, I am all for that. So I'm not poo pooing on that at all. It's just a fact. His quality of work has gone down. He's staler than a month old bag of bread at this point.
We need Dean
So
Ambrose back.
bring back the lunatic fringe.
Yeah, lunatic
Or
fringe.
or or just go to WWE. Vince isn't there anymore. You can go with Hunter. Maybe you can, they'll have some more creative ideas for you. and you won't have to change too much because you can be on Raw with Netflix. So there you go.
Absolutely.
But just there's no structure, and sometimes having full creative control is not always the best
Agreed.
because even the best wrestlers, Stone Cold included, don't have the greatest ideas. So maybe a change of scenery is something he needs.
And then the final match before we jump into Money in the Bank, Mr. Strickland versus
Oh,
Will Ospreay.
oh.
And why you keep the title on Strickland, I have no idea. None whatsoever.
Well, apparently Will Osprey he's apparently a big fan of Swerve, and he wanted to give Swerve a big notch on his belt to make him legitimate, from what I read.
Well, beating Will Ospreay is a good way to get that notch in your belt.
But I mean, to me, like I like Will Osprey as a wrestler. Wasn't too keen on the comments he made, as we talked about a couple months ago. But he's kind of starting to grow on me a little bit, a little bit. Um, I mean, time will tell, but I just like see he has a connection with the fans. Like the whole, I mean, his entrance is very fan oriented. Osprey, Osprey, like fans
Mm-hmm.
love him. Fans absolutely love this man. Um, he's definitely growing on me a little bit. For the life of me, I cannot get behind Swerve.
No, I can't either.
I mean, like I hear the start of his music, and then I see that dipshit doing all this. Oh, I want to slap the shit out of him. I can't take it. I can't. He needs to go somewhere far away from here.
It's
But
far away from here.
but
Well,
I'm
let's talk about the big pay-per-view coming up, and that is Money in the Bank. And I am pumped for this one. I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be a fun pay-per-view. Anytime we get ladder matches, I'm all for it.
yeah, and I like when they're few and far between and they actually mean something and it's not so forced upon. But this is one of my favorite events of the year. Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, two of my favorite pay per views of the year because this will set the course for things that come down the line. I'm not super sure who I have winning the men's event. Maybe I'll make my decision by the time we get to that, but it's a pretty good card overall, I would say, per WWE standards.
Well, let's look at some of the matches. And I know this one we are going to absolutely love. And that is Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Is it Braun Breaker's time?
It was his time yesterday. Sami Zayn needs to get smashed into oblivion. I want him to go away for a while.
Yes.
And you gotta give. I mean, whatever happened to giving the guy the belt while he's hot?
Yes.
Like he is white hot. I don't let him get like L.A. Knight is now, where his flame is kind of starting to go out. As much as we want him to win Money in the Bank, as much as we want him to have a title, just strike while the iron's hot. You got a blue chip prospect here. Sami Zayn, as great of a wrestler as he is, he's not in Braun Breaker's league. I'm sorry.
And those of you in chat, I want you to give your predictions of who you think are going to win these matches. I love chat interaction. If you're on chat on Twitch or YouTube, and for those of you listening on podcast, send us a message or comment in the comments section. Let us know who you think is going to win these matches. But I've got Braun Breaker too. I think that it's time for a fresh start. I think if he defends the title at SummerSlam, it's going to be more legitimate. I think he's going to bring legitimacy to the Intercontinental title if he wins it.
Yeah, I mean he is a rare breed. He is a he has big time money draw to him. And if you give him this title and let him go on a nice long year and a half to 2 year run with this thing, you just give him a nice dominant run.
Well,
I mean,
let's look at it too, Tommy. You know, they've said that he is going to basically be the face of Netflix
as he should.
when the deal gets done with Netflix. So it would be stupid not to have a strap on him if this guy's going to be the face.
Right. And at this point, he's not he wasn't in King of the Ring. He's not in Money in the Bank. So his chances to get a direct shot to a world title are very slim to none.
Yeah,
And if we can predict that Gunther is going to be world champion after SummerSlam, I don't see them throwing Braun Breaker and Gunther together right away. I don't think
no,
that's good for business. I just don't think it's going to happen. Because
that's a Mania
Breaker,
match.
correct. And I mean, SummerSlam is their second biggest event of the year, but I don't see it happening that soon. You gotta strike while the iron's hot. Put the belt on Breaker, even if like let's say we get to the new year on Netflix. I mean, he'll still be on Raw. They'll have the draft sometime after Mania. You could theoretically still have the strap on him at that point, and let's even say they have him win the Royal Rumble, which is highly possible.
Yeah,
He's a legitimate double champion.
yeah,
I can buy into that as a double champion. Unlike Mercedes Monet, I can
yeah.
buy into that as a double champion and be like, yeah, this dude's legit.
He's dominant, dude. He is. I hope that one day we get Braun Breaker versus Lesnar. That's what I want to see. Take my money now.
You're gonna give Vince a chubby, so you better just
Yeah, I know, I
you
know.
better,
He's already halfway hard right now. Um, but bearded dog said Braun is going to win this match. Nobody cares about Sammy.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Amen to
let's see
that.
what other matches that we do have. I'm going to jump into this one just because, and that is Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins. I'm torn on this match.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to go first on this one? Because I got
Yeah,
a couple different scenarios. So I mean, if you want to go ahead.
well, one other than promos, this match has not been built up. It's basically a returning Seth Rollins saying, "Okay, I'm going to get my title back." The only way that I see Seth Rollins winning this match is they want some legitimacy moving into SummerSlam.
Yeah. And then the other part of what you said is also Priest having enough reverence for Rollins to be like, you know what, I respect you enough to give you this match, no problems. Um, I see. I'm also torn. I'm on the fence. I could see Rollins winning this match if Judgment Day tries to interfere, like Damian Priest doesn't want them to, and cost him the match, which starts the implosion of the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I mean, he'll be out of Judgment Day if he loses.
Yes, if he loses.
So that's already going to start the implosion. I could see him winning just to have, hey, Seth Rollins is coming back. I don't think it. I mean, not that's going to hurt Rollins' legacy, but it just doesn't make sense for me to give the belt to Seth just to have him lose to Gunther in a month. Like, it doesn't make much sense to me. And it gives Priest another notch in his belt on a future Hall of Famer that he's beaten in his prime.
Yeah,
So,
first year Hall of Famer at that.
right. So I'm leaning towards Priest here, just because I just don't think at the end of the day it makes sense to have him lose to Seth a month before, he might lose it to Gunther anyway. But I could easily see where they could start that Judgment Day implosion with an interference.
So what do you do with Damian Priest if he loses and he no longer is the head of Judgment Day?
I mean, thankfully that's not for me to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you do with him. I mean, the Judgment Day kind of brought him to relevance, and now if you take him out of the Judgment Day, I mean, I just don't know really what his character is. I mean, like honestly, what is the Judgment Day's overall thing? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just kind of just like a bunch of guys just hanging out in the back and have their corner. I just I don't know.
Well, Bearded Dog, he's on it tonight with us on the predictions. He said Priest will win, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it'll just be sweet to see. It'll be sweet to see him lose to Gunther in a month. It'll be sweet.
Yeah. And Bearded said he can't make it without the Judgment Day.
He can't. I mean, he didn't before.
Yeah.
Judgment Day kind of made him.
All
And
right.
I
Let's
just
jump
gotta
into
say,
the
man, if no one's had some Jenny Light, go get you some Jenny Light, man. It is just delicious.
So let's make it tough on you here. Well, which LA Knight's not in this. I don't know why. Let me see why that. So we have Chad Gable, Carmelo Hayes, Sheamus, Jey Uso, Andrade, and Ludwig Kaiser and LA Knight, which I guess this graphic was taken out before LA Knight got added to it.
Well, and Kaiser's hurt.
Yeah, Kaiser's hurt. So who do you got in the men's Money in the Bank?
So Sheamus and Kaiser should be out, and it should be McIntyre and LA Knight. So
Yeah,
you got Gable, Carmelo, LA Knight, Jey Uso, Andrade, and Drew McIntyre.
yeah,
And this is another one where I'm torn between two different scenarios. You got um, Drew McIntyre, who out of them is the only one who's been a world champion in WWE, and you could easily have him win Money in the Bank, and it would make sense. However, I see LA Knight, yeah, winning due to a CM Punk interference as McIntyre is climbing the ladder.
really.
Yep. Punk's been out for a couple weeks now with his injuries, and the way this feud has been going, it's been tit for tat. So
So
I just see this culminating at SummerSlam and a
I've
match between them two.
I've got two different scenarios. One, Jey Uso because he's so red hot right now, and then LA Knight would be the feasible one because he's going after Logan Paul instead of going for a world title, which would not coincide with Gunther or anybody going after Cody at this point.
But so is the Money in the Bank not a guaranteed world title, or is it just a title match?
You, according to what he said, when he wins it, he's going after Logan Paul.
That's contrary to everything I thought the Money in the Bank
Yeah,
was. But
yeah.
hey, if you want to
Well, you
shoot
got to
for,
remember though. Remember, Charlotte went after the NXT title.
yeah, but that's technically a world title though. Like I mean,
Yeah,
it's NXT's world title, so sure. I mean, he he literally could go after Cody Rhodes and shock everybody,
that's
and then
true.
and then maybe you'll get a Cody Rhodes heel turn because people have been wanting that forever. So I mean, maybe with Roman coming back as your big baby face, and Cody's title run, in my opinion, hasn't really gone as well as I thought it would go. Maybe that's the swerve you get.
Yeah.
Is you get LA Knight cashing in on him, and then you have Cody as your big heel, almost like like the Hogan turn in WCW. Just no one's expecting it. People wanted John Cena to do it for years, never did it.
Yeah.
But Cody's done it before. He did it in Japan
Yeah.
when he crossroads Omega.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Just throwing stuff out there.
But I do believe LA Knight will win it. It's he has to.
I mean, how
If
many more
he
opportunities are you going to have? I mean,
Yeah, he has to.
literally, Jey Uso and LA Knight have been just so up here, but every loss just brings them down a little bit more. It's
And
like when they win matches, but they
as a
can't
true
win.
wrestling fan though, you got to look and say, okay, they're putting too much hype into Jey Uso.
Because he's not a main eventer. I
Even though
mean,
it's in his name.
yeah, which is dumb. Just take the stuff out of his name. Like, it was his nickname for one time, you know. But like, Seth Rollins doesn't need to be called Seth freaking Rollins every week. Like, I don't know, nitpicking. But anyway, yes, LA Knight should be Mr. Money in the Bank. Yeah,
Let's talk about the women's. There's nothing in here that tells me that Tiffany Stratton is not going to be Miss Money in the Bank.
correct. The only person I see as a dark horse is Lyra Valkyria
Yep.
because she was runner up to Nia Jackson, the Queen of the Ring. She's my dark horse candidate. But baby, it is Tiffy time.
It's Tiffy
It is
time.
Tiffy time.
It
And
is
she's
it
gonna
is
cash
Tiffy
in.
time.
She's gonna cash in on Bailey and be your women's El Campeon.
Just going back to the men's, does Chad Gable have a chance of winning this?
No, because of the Wyatt Six,
Yeah.
who we'll talk about in a little bit. I don't see them doing that with him because he's already in the crosshairs of Uncle Howdy and friends. So I just see that as probably not. If the Wyatt Six wasn't so focused on him, I'd say sure he's got a shot, but I don't think so.
But
And
I don't see Naomi. I don't see Zoe Stark. I definitely don't see Chelsea Green, Io Sky. I'm more along the lines with you. I don't even think that Valkyria has a chance of winning it when it compares to Tiffany Stratton.
yeah, Tiffany Stratton is too over, and people have been wanting her for a while, and she's actually, I will give her credit. She's buying her time. She's taken what's been given to her and hasn't really complained about it, to my knowledge. So I mean, and when you align yourself with Nia Jax, I mean, what else do you expect?
Yeah, yeah, and she deserves a shot. I mean, this reminds me of the year that Alexa Bliss came in and shocked everybody by winning when they wanted Becky Lynch to win. That she just came in and then the same night she during the Rousey and Nia Jax match she cashes in, wins the title.
Right, and that's where I can see Lyra having a chance because she's proven on the biggest stage she can hang in the ring.
Yeah.
So I could easily see her getting a shot, but I just think it's this match is built for Tiffany Stratton to win. So
So let's jump into the Paul Heyman situation.
Yes, please. I have been
And
waiting for this topic.
this is this is possibly one of the greatest parts of this entire storyline.
Oh, it is the whole storyline. And I mean, this man, if you haven't heard already, stayed up 24 plus hours so he could get that tired, restless look on his face for this segment. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if, we would see maybe Jacob swerve us and, not acknowledge Solo and challenge him or what. But when everyone went in line and they got to Paul and he said, Solo, I love you. But he said, you are not, and you couldn't hear the rest of it, but not my tribal chief, the whole place went nuts. And, when you see him getting power bombed through the table, and then you see that image where Jacob is just coming on the top rope, and ironically enough, Brian, I'm not sure if you caught it, but off of us doing our Benoit series, he does a flying headbutt,
Yes.
which I thought was almost outlawed, but he did a flying headbutt to Paul Heyman. So,
And so if you're Roman Reigns, you're sitting at home, you're like, they just beat up my wise man.
oh, hell hath no fury like a tribal chief scorned.
Yes.
Solo, you have no idea the can of whoop ass that is coming your way when the true tribal chief returns.
So do we see Roman show up at this 6-man tag?
Possibly, but I was under the impression that Solo may be challenging Cody for the WWE title. So I feel like in that match is when Roman will come back at SummerSlam. That's when I see him coming back. I mean, if he did come back, I guess it would make sense for the timeline because they said sometime in early July. So if the rumors are true, he might come back at during this match or towards the end of it. But I honestly don't know. I'm trying not to look too much into the Roman and just sit back. And whenever he comes back, he comes back. But whenever he does, it's on.
Imagine the pop when you hear the Tribal Chiefs music go off.
It's. I mean, it's
I mean,
gonna
I'm I'm
be,
getting I'm getting goosebumps right now.
dude. It's gonna be one of the biggest pops we've heard in years.
Yeah.
In years. I mean, it might be the biggest one we've ever heard. Because the MJF one was pretty epic. The last one I remember that was that loud, honestly, was, and we've talked about this before, the Triple H of '02.
Yes.
One of the loudest returns ever. So people want Roman. You know he's going to come back as a face. And hey, I'll I'll make one prediction if they have Roman come back tomorrow night. You know, Jimmy Uso's, according to Rikishi, is supposed to be coming back somewhat soon. If Jey Uso loses Money in the Bank, he might be in the back, pissed off, shrugging his shoulders. What if you end up seeing, Jimmy Uso come over to him, embrace him a little bit, got the Usos back together?
Mm.
Maybe they come out and are ringside for this match or come out during this match. And then, everyone's waiting. We want Roman. Roman doesn't come last minute. You hear his music hit. And the roof goes off the place.
Well,
And
you
you
got to
have him
understand they
come
have the
down.
numbers. They have the numbers, and there could be a beatdown toward the end of this match, and Next thing you know, here comes the tribal chief.
Exactly. Oh, I can't wait because you already know that's going to be money.
Oh,
That
I
is
mean,
so much.
take the money now.
I mean, it's not even a pay per view. I get it on Peacock for whatever it is I pay a month. Like you're already taking my money, so just give me what I want.
Yeah.
Batista, just give me what I want.
So let's jump into a big storyline, and that is the Wyatt Six. And I mean, these dudes are creepy as hell, man. I mean, let's go ahead and face it. It's a lot of people are like, is Bo Dallas going to drop the ball here, bro? This is the scariest thing since the start of the Undertaker for me in WWE.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when they had, I mean, I would even say Kane. When they brought Kane in, and no one knew what the hell he was. Like this is like almost that on steroids because you got five of them. We're waiting on the sixth one, but my God, you got Uncle Howdy leading the crew. You got Loomis, Rowan, and Gacy
Yep.
all flanking him as part of the funhouse. Nikki Cross is Sister Abigail. Or so we think. Nothing's been obviously confirmed yet, but what if what if Sister Abigail is really Alexa and Alexa's the one who comes back?
It's possible. It's possible. Everybody's asking about your Michael Myers.
Yeah, I mean, he is my absolute favorite. He is flanking me on my right. So, I mean, hey,
Is this
don't hate me
gimmick
for it.
going to go over for Bo Dallas? Is this going to bring justice and honor to Bray Wyatt?
I think so. But as we've seen with the storylines, you just gotta give it time. You just gotta let them do their thing because we have some slow burns. And this is gonna culminate in something big. I don't even know where they're going, so I don't even want to tell them what they need to do. We just need to sit back and okay. Okay.
So I agree with you, and I love the 2-part interview between Bo Dallas and between Uncle Howdy. And for those of you that watched it, it was an amazing interview. It's almost like if you had a second personality and you are sitting down with yourself talking to the demons that are in your closet. That was exactly what that interview was like. And I enjoyed it just as much as the introduction of the Wyatt Six because what it does is it shows the man Bo Dallas, and then you've got Uncle Howdy that is sitting back going, okay, you know who you are, and we've got to sit back and try to realize who you really are. And Bo Dallas to me so far is giving Bray Wyatt all the honor and respect from his character that can possibly happen. And I would like to see, not in a wrestling ring, but I would like to eventually see somebody in a Fiend mask just step up and just be in the shadows. I think that would be another way that Bray Wyatt could be honored is by somebody being in the shadows in a Fiend mask, stepping back and going, okay, this is this is interesting, and not even put him in a wrestling ring, just let him be back in the shadows.
Yeah, can't disagree with you on that, man.
But I do like the fact that we've got some old members of the White family that's a part of it. I do like that Gacy's involved with it, because Gacy's character in NXT was creepy as hell, and almost that Dexter, uh, Jack the Ripper kind of character, and then Dexter Loomis definitely the same way.
Yeah, he's that
Definitely the same way.
stalker serial killer
Yeah,
type.
and I mean you can tell that that's Loomis because his entire arm is tattooed.
Yeah.
Um, but I think this is going to be the storyline that is going to take WWE by storm as it continues to grow. And I'm like you, this needs to be a slow burn. It doesn't need to be something that comes in fast. It needs to be a slow burn so that people can get the feeling of what this really means.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one that's going to have so many dimensions and layers that you're just going to have to let it play out and just enjoy the ride because, the Taker and Kane one, for example, that was a good 20 years of
Yeah,
just constant interchanging story. So you just got to let it go. You just let it happen, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. So I I will be watching Raw every Monday on the edge of my seat when they come out.
yeah. And you're anticipating it. And the whole VHS thing, and Michael Cole has just been amazing with it. And he's like, kids, this is a VHS. And it's like, because people are looking going, what's a VHS tape? And we're like, oh, they're
Exactly.
going old school with the recorder of the old camcorder and
Yeah.
all that. So it was really fun to see that Cole is getting these mysterious tapes that's got these interviews on it and all this. And I think we're going to continue to see that, and I think they're going to get weirder as it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Bray would have the camera crew come to his compound every week, and you'd just hear him just talk in his rocking chair and show you his house, and you see how just weird it is. This is gonna be like that times 10, I think.
Yeah, if I'm Chad Gable, I'm shaking in my boots right now.
I mean, I wouldn't show up to work. I mean, bye. I the money you're paying me ain't worth that. Nope, I'm out.
So our final topic of the night, Tommy, you want to go in depth with this, and that is Chris Jericho and the learning tree.
My God, this dude's got another one. When he first started this and he called the FTW title the For the World title, I'm like, what is this shit? Like, dude, just stop. But the way it's evolved, and I don't know if you saw him on commentary, man. If you haven't, just go watch the match he commentated. Oh my God, it was absolutely hilarious. Like, he's acting like he's teaching these guys how to wrestle who already know how to wrestle, which is the funny part. Like, come on, you gotta get him in an arm bar. He's like, Jericho, we just put him in an arm bar. Yeah, I know. I know. See, I told you, I'm teaching. Everyone needs to come to Chris Jericho. I'm the learning tree. And then
Could
just
we
it's
could we
just
consider Jericho to be one of the greatest gimmick makers in the history of professional wrestling?
yeah. Yeah, he constantly reinvents himself. He really hasn't had a bad gimmick. Like they've all served their purpose. They've all done what they've needed to do, and every time you thought he was done, he comes back again. I mean, he's no doubt one of the greatest minds of all time, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and his longevity just adds to it because it's not all longevity, but that does help.
Yeah. I'm
And
a huge Jericho fan. If you could see my shelf above my desk, I've got an autograph AEW figure in every single AEW figure that he has. And just I love Chris Jericho. We went on the cruise, and just the man is a musician. He's an innovator. He's had the greatest gimmicks. The Y2J gimmick was the greatest thing, one of the greatest things in professional wrestling history. And then he come out with the list, and he and Kevin Owens being best friends, and just then he leaves and goes to AEW. He creates the Inner Circle. He creates the Jericho Society. I mean, just one thing after another, and all of them work.
Yeah, my favorite is the list.
Yes.
Hands down, my favorite.
And he was doing that in WCW.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, like it was more of a modern take
Yeah.
on it, and it worked. It was awesome. So
So as we finish up, Tommy, I'm gonna let you give your final thoughts for this July 5th show of Yankee Rebel Wrestlecast. What's on your mind in our final thoughts? I feel like Jerry Springer.
yeah, I mean, wrestling is just it keeps getting hotter. When you think it's hit its point, it just the temperature keeps going up in the room. And with AEW getting a little bit better, though I still think the whole elite angle is honestly stupid because they're trying to copy the NWO feud with WCW and it's not even close to that magnitude. But I digress. With Roman Reigns coming back, the Bloodline story is only going to increase. The Wyatt Six now here is only going to elevate Raw even more. So you're going to have both shows with these jam-packed long-term storylines that everyone is so invested to that it is making WWE programming must see every single night of the week. So, I mean, how could you not be excited with everything that they have to offer right now? Like Hunter he is batting 1,000 in my book. It's been the best it's been in a good 10 plus years. Just it's great if you're a WWE fan, a wrestling fan in general. You need to give a little bow.
Yeah.
I am a Paul Levesque guy.
I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off that. I think wrestling's hotter than it has been since 2008. And it's just going to continue to get hotter because you have a new generation of fans. You have the older fans like us that are revitalized. It's like a breath of fresh air. And WWE is going to be back to the dominance that it was at prior to the end of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And there is everything that you buy, WWE now is hot. It's smoking hot. And from t-shirts to cards to magazines to whatever, everything WWE is hot. And it's going to get hotter because one, we get a Raw at the start of the year that is now uncensored. We get a SmackDown going to USA that gets to push the envelope a little bit again.
And it'll also be 3 hours too.
Yeah. So tonight, SmackDown, we do have Cody and Randy and Kevin addressing the bloodline, which will just solidify that match for tomorrow night. I'm going ahead and calling it. DIY will be new tag champs tonight against A-Town Down Under.
Agreed.
Just as the Judgment Day defeated R-Truth and Miz to get the tag belts with, of course, the help of Liv Morgan. I think we're going to start seeing some of these titles dropped, and we're going to start seeing new champions because you've got to have a solidity of champions going into SummerSlam. You got to have people that are going to make some money. That's going to be a bigger draw, and I think that I'm happy that Miz and R-Truth won the belts. I'm happy that A-Town Down Under won the belts. We got our future radio broadcaster crawling in here. Got Milo. He's crawling in. He wants to talk wrestling. But I think that AEW is going to have to do something different with their product before we ever get to the point that AEW can be a contender again. Because let's face it, NXT is hotter than AEW right now.
Yeah. I mean,
You
NXT
not
is
agree, Milo?
Milo. How could you? But no, I mean NXT is. I mean, Shawn Michaels has done wonders with bringing that back from the 2.0 crap that it was at. I
Yes.
mean, it's the quality is better, the stories are better, and I mean, I can't say enough about what Trick's doing. Trick's holding it down.
Oh, he's holding it down. And then Joe Henry coming in
Oh,
from TNA, dude, has been
I
hilarious.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Henry,
So,
man.
so does Milo. From London to Paris and Tokyo.
But that is our show for tonight. We are ready for Money in the Bank. Make sure that you are tuning in to SmackDown and seeing what happens tonight. But guys, this has been a great show. I've been super happy that we're back to the grind. Not to say that our Benoit shows weren't great. It was just on a serious note, and now we get to be crazy and funny again, and I love it because those shows like the Benoit series are just very serious. So,
Yeah,
but guys, for Yankee Tommy, I am Rebel Brian, and we're going to be back next week with the outcome of Money in the Bank. We'll talk Raw, we'll talk Dynamite, we'll talk SmackDown. Maybe throw in a little bit of TNA with it kind of getting a little bit hotter right now.
for
So
sure.
make sure you stay tuned with us every Friday night at 7 p.m. But we'll see you next week.
Peace.